Hey everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. For those of you who may be new here, my name is Christine and I am a registered psychotherapist and a clinical supervisor and the owner of a group private practice, Dalgety Counseling and Psychotherapy. And our channel is all about breaking down mental health topics into real life, relatable advice. And some psychoeducation, some information as well. So grab a tea, a coffee, get comfy, grab a snack, whatever you want to do. Join us in diving into a topic that so many of us have to deal with, anxiety. A quick question. How many of you have had your heart racing when having to have a conversation with somebody? Or have that heaviness, that tightness in your chest before going into a new place or presenting. Having that nauseous, nervous type feeling in your stomach before an event or again, a conversation. Or those thoughts racing over something that may have happened or might happen. You're not quite sure. Are you nodding? I bet you you're nodding. Trust me, you're not alone. Every person on this planet experiences anxiety from time to time. Today, we're going to talk about anxiety, what it is, what it looks like, sounds like, feels like, and most importantly, what we can do about it, how we can manage it. Let's start with the basics. Anxiety is a normal human emotion. Did you hear me? It's normal. Anxiety is a normal human emotion. It's not a sign of weakness. Clinically speaking, anxiety is that alarm system that triggers your brain to keep us safe. It's designed to alert you to possible dangers or challenges. And if you think back to our ancestors, thanks to evolution, our brains are wired to keep us safe. Our ancestors had to run from saber-toothed tigers or, be aware of possibly, dangerous cliffs, whatever it may be. But here's the thing. Today, most of us aren't running from tigers. Most of our anxiety is based on more non-life-threatening events, such as a presentation at work, conversations, exams, a text message that goes unanswered. I've heard so many stories about the anxiety that brings, and I've experienced it myself. Or even just thinking about the future. The thing with our brains and our stress response is that I'm not going to go through all of the parts of the brain. I can do a video on that if you want, more specifics, more technical. But just know that, the part of the brain that is responsible for sensing danger awareness, it can't distinguish between dangers. It can't say, oh wow, that's an actual danger, I'm going to die. That's a thought, a feeling, a situation, a trigger point. It just says, this feels really scary and dangerous, and I need to protect myself. So you could essentially have the same reaction to having to have a conversation with somebody or a thought, a feeling that causes anxiety as you would a seriously dangerous situation. However, generally speaking, anxiety isn't bad. In fact, it's your body's way of saying, hey, prepare yourself, pay attention, be careful. The problem is when that alarm system keeps ringing even when there isn't a real threat. Or it gets so loud that it drowns everything else out. Let's get a little clinical for a second, okay? Anxiety comes from the same part of your brain as the parts for survival, the amygdala. Its job is to help you to respond to dangers, to threats by triggering the fight, flight, or freeze response. So anxiety is coming from that same place. Okay. In moderation, anxiety can help motivate us. It can help prepare you for that test, that job interview, that conversation, or it can keep you alert when you're driving in bad weather, in unsafe situations. But when anxiety becomes overwhelming and constant, then it starts to interfere with your way of life. Imagine an alarm clock that never shuts off. Eventually, that's exhausting. So, what does anxiety actually look like? Clinically speaking, anxiety shows up in your mind, your body, and your behaviors. And I'm just going to share a few ways that it shows up. So, physical symptoms: racing heart, sweaty palms, digestive issues, shaking hands. We call them jello legs, right? That weakness that you might feel. Headaches, feeling tense, feeling achy, head rush, that pressure in your head, difficulty swallowing, shallow breathing, feeling really restless, like you're just driven by this motor, you can't bring it down. Emotional symptoms: constant worry, dread, fear, irritability, fear that something bad is going to happen. A way that some of my clients describe it, and I've experienced too, is that feeling where you forgot to do something. You left the straightener on. You know that there's just something always there. You're waiting for the shoe to drop. That can be the emotional part of it. Anger also. A lot of people are mistaken. And I really noticed this when I was working in education. If a child had outbursts, many staff members were like, that kid doesn't have anxiety. Look they're making everyone stare at them. Well, no, because it gets to a point where anxiety comes out to protect us. And if we're feeling very anxious, we're feeling very vulnerable. And anxiety gets people to back off, right? Anxiety might get them sent out of the classroom. Anger gets people to back off. Anger might get them sent out of the classroom, whatever it may be, but it's an instinctual thing. Anger's an emotion, and emotions are instinctual responses to stimuli and situations based on our perceptions and our interpretations. So anger absolutely is a symptom of anxiety. Some behavioral symptoms: avoidance. Escape and avoidance, number one behaviors for anxiety. We do everything we can to not have to do whatever it is we're supposed to do that's causing the anxiety. Procrastination. You are not lazy, you're anxious. Procrastination, because having to do it is scary. And so we avoid it, but we also procrastinate. So many of my clients with anxiety say, actually, no, I thrive under pressure. No, you don't, right? You're procrastinating. Maybe you feel like you do. I'm not invalidating that belief that you have. However, when we feel anxious, we keep putting it off because it seems too much. It seems overwhelming. And then we have a deadline. We have to do it. And so that anxiety and stress motivates us to get it done for the deadline. It doesn't mean that you actually thrive under pressure. That's not saying people don't. Some people do. I'm saying anxiety driven. Cognitive symptoms: overthinking. Going over it and over it, like overthinking all the possible things. Ruminating or perseverating, which is overthinking. Going over it and over it and over it, or going over the past, what you said, what you did, why did I say that, why did I do that? Catastrophizing. You go to the worst case scenario. Something bad is going to happen. What if this happens? Worst case. Mind goes blank. Again, without getting really technical, when the stress response is triggered, your prefrontal cortex, your frontal lobe, executive functioning, everything shuts off in order to protect you. Because if it didn't, you may be, so the example I give clients, if that didn't happen, if you step off the sidewalk onto the road and there's a car coming, right away we're like, whoa, and we jump back. That's because the prefrontal cortex shuts off, because you need to go into fight, flight, freeze, right? If that didn't happen and your prefrontal cortex remained engaged, your frontal lobe remained engaged, you may be standing on the road saying, there's a car coming. Should I run in the same direction, then jump off? Should I just keep running across the road? Should I jump off? And you're gonna be hit by the car. It shuts off. So for those of you with test anxiety and that sort of thing, so many clients have said to me, as soon as I go to write the test, I can't remember anything I studied. It shuts off. So there's strategies that I help clients with to bring down the anxiety before the exam. That's why you don't cram too, by the way. The anxiety makes that frontal lobe, that prefrontal cortex, shut off. That's why you can't remember, you can't process. People say, I can't even think in those moments, okay? That's a cognitive symptom, that brain fog too, that can happen. It's different for everybody. Some people have all of these. Some people have some. Some people really feel it in their bodies. Some people feel it in their thoughts. It's unique to you. And that's why I say to all of my clients, and I'm saying to you, make a connection between anxiety and physical symptoms, emotions and physical symptoms. Because sometimes your body creates the symptom, or your brain creates, the physical symptom before the emotion catches up, right? So for me, I get an anxious pit in my stomach when I'm feeling really stressed or anxious about something. And sometimes I'm so busy and I'm going about my day, I don't realize that I'm feeling stressed. And so when I feel that, I know I've made that connection. So right away I say, okay, got to slow down. And I ask myself, I know things that do cause anxiety for me. So I ask myself if those things are occurring. So really pay attention to all of these symptoms that I talked about, the physical, the emotional, the behavioral, and the cognitive. They're all connected. If you can feel that physical, you know that some of the others are happening. Okay? So if anxiety is normal, why is it so uncomfortable? Why does it feel so overwhelming sometimes? Why do we feel so out of control with it? So let's bust a myth right now. Being anxious is not a sign of weakness or being broken. If it's feeling out of control, it's because your brain is stuck. It's stuck on this feedback loop that just keeps going and going. For those of you old people like me, when you think of the records that we used to have, the albums that we used to have, right? If it had a scratch, it was skipping. It just kept doing the same thing. Same kind of thing. It's stuck. It's skipping. Your brain is in that feedback loop of those intrusive thoughts, those racing thoughts, or the feelings that are happening. You're not weak. Your brain's just stuck on those. What's happening is your body feels anxious and your brain needs to find out a reason why. So it keeps trying to identify it. The problem with anxiety too is that excitement often feels, or almost always feels, very close to the same physical symptoms as anxiety. And so a lot of people with disordered anxiety, so that means it's interfering with all parts of your life, it's diagnosable, they have a really hard time when they get excited. They automatically go to, holy cow, I'm anxious. This is a bad thing, not a good thing. And so I teach clients to separate the two and pull out the facts of the situation. And when your body feels anxious and then your mind tries to find reasons for it, it actually causes more anxiety. And health anxiety is huge for that. And I'm actually going to do a separate video on health anxiety. But with health anxiety, you feel the physical symptoms. It triggers the health anxiety, something's wrong with me, which makes those physical symptoms higher, which makes, that cycle continue. And so that's what happens. Your body feels anxious, your brain tries to make sense of it, it tries to figure it out, causes more anxiety, which then makes your brain try to figure it out more, which causes more, that's the feedback loop that's going on. And with anxiety, we often create outcomes to protect us, right? Well, I'm going to go for the worst thing, because then when it happens, my job is to help you break that down, unpack that, and figure out the facts. What are the odds of it happening? It just goes round and round and round. Social media does not help anxiety. Everyone in social media looks chill and perfect. The stress of daily life doesn't show up there. And the stress of your daily life and maybe some negative experiences or past experiences, some traumas, you add that in, and then you're looking at these people who look like everything's just chill and great, and boom, more anxiety. And then the spiral happens, and anxiety can spiral very quickly. When you look at the stress response and everything that's happened, it seems like, oh, that should take a while to happen. Nope, like that. And then the feedback starts. It's a different type of anxiety. We have all different types of anxiety. So the social media part, the comparing and how come they're so chill and I'm not, what are they doing, what am I not? The anxiety about parenting, about relationships that can happen with social media. I'm going to do another video or podcast on that too. I want to just take a minute to do some rapid fire myth busting. All right. A myth: only weak people get anxious. This toxic positivity that we have, that we are like, no, I'm good. Nothing bothers me. I can handle anything. Anxiety is universal. Every single person on this planet has experienced anxiety at some point in their life. It is not a sign of weakness. It is a perception and interpretation that your brain takes in. It's a feeling that you get because for some reason this interpretation is interpreting the situation as difficult, dangerous, fearful, whatever it may be. Every person has it. It is universal. Another myth: you can always tell when someone is anxious. No. A lot of people hide it really well. A lot of people who've been dealing with anxiety their whole lives mask it so well. When I tell people that I have social anxiety, common response I get is, you? No, you don't. You talk to people all the time. You're getting in front of a camera. You go up and do speeches. That doesn't mean I don't have social anxiety. That means that I now have it managed, but even when I was younger, right? Now I can do that stuff and I still have to prepare myself. That fear of judgment isn't as high as it used to be. Now I'm kind of like, meh, you don't like me? You don't like me. You don't want to be with me? You don't want to be with me. It hurts, but I'm not going to blame myself and perseverate on it or ruminate on it. However, I prepare myself for those things. And when I was younger, I masked it. People didn't know that I have it. People couldn't believe that I have social anxiety. So saying that you know when someone's anxious, you don't know. Yes, there are some times it's like, whoa, that person is anxious. Absolutely. It doesn't mean, again, that it's a sign of weakness. It means that it's more outward. It's more physical symptoms that you can see. Another myth: if I avoid what makes me anxious, it'll go away. No, it won't. Your brain stores every single bit of information from birth. Whether it is an intrinsic thing and it's decoding that happens after birth, or it is, more extrinsic and it's, remembering situations and impacts and cause and effect and that kind of stuff. Doesn't matter. Your brain holds everything. So just ignoring it doesn't make it go away. I always tell clients it's kind of like Sheldon on Big Bang Theory, right? Like penny. You can push it away, but it's going to be knocking and it's going to come out in some way. So many people, especially people that are older generations, say, oh no, I'm good. I just push that stuff down. Toxic positivity. We don't have to push it down. It's not a badge of honor to push it down, because it's like shoving a suitcase full of stuff or that Jack in the Box, right? You push that little guy down. You push the clown down, or you shove all your clothes in the suitcase, you sit on it. The minute you unzip that thing, it's like, right? So that's what happens with anxiety and stuff too. It doesn't make it go away. It actually makes it grow louder, or it comes out in other ways. I use the analogy of putting a cork in a steam kettle. The steam has to get out somehow, or that cork is going to blow out. You need to face the fears gently at your own pace and address them. And therapy can help with that. I help clients with that all the time. All right, let's get practical. I like my toolkits, so let's do a mini toolkit for anxiety. You don't need to do all of these, just pick some that would work for you. So the first thing is grounding. Remember I said connect the physical with the emotional? Really feel that physical feeling. When you get that physical feeling, That's your cue to start grounding. There's different ways you can ground. There's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is getting out of your head and into your space. Mindfulness. It's using your 5 senses to bring you into the space. So 5 things you see. And I don't just do, I see a painting, I see a mirror, there's a painting and it has gold and it has blue and it's abstract and there's a mirror and there's round and there's black around it. Really focusing in on it. You want to engage your prefrontal cortex because then you can process, okay? 4 things that you can touch or you feel, tactile. 3 things you hear. 2 things you smell or like the smell of. 1 thing you taste or like the taste of, okay? Another thing is count backwards from 100 by 7s. Spell names backwards. Anything that's really going to engage your prefrontal cortex, the processing part, because that's going to take it away from the amygdala. Box breathing, figure 8 breathing, belly breathing. Slow down your breathing. If you can control your breathing and slow it down, you can control the stress response. Body scans. See where your body, how your body is feeling. Pause and notice how your body feels. Progressive muscle relaxation. Start at your toes, tense, relax all the way up to your head and back down. I do a full body one. I tense up my body and then I slowly relax my body. Another strategy you can use is some self-compassion. We are often harder on ourselves than we are on anyone else. So talk to yourself like you would talk to someone you love. Talk to yourself like you would talk to your child or a child. And I'm not saying, talk to yourself like a child. I'm saying be as kind as you would to somebody else. And I always use, when I have parents, I always use their children. Because we would be so kind and empathetic to our children, usually. You can say to yourself, this is hard, but I'm doing my best. Put a hand on your chest and breathe slowly. Center yourself, ground yourself. Remind yourself that you're not alone. Millions of people experience anxiety every single day. Remember, anxiety is a feeling, it's not a flaw. And anxiety doesn't define you. And then you can manage your anxious thoughts. So using cognitive behavior therapy, notice when your mind starts spinning and with the what ifs. Challenge the what ifs. When you say, what if something bad happens? What if something good happens? And then push it a little further. Okay, what if something bad happens? What skills do I have? What tools do I have? What supports do I have? When I felt this way before, did it happen? And if it did, what did I do in that moment? Because I'm still here, right? So break it down, slow it down. Try writing down your worries. A strategy that I do with clients is write down your worry and put it somewhere, or put it in your phone, put it somewhere. 24 hours later, read it. So many times clients say to me, I forgot about it. Or I was like, oh yeah, that fixed itself, right? Or just journal. Journaling your thoughts and your anxieties, your worries can help get them out. And ask yourself, for catastrophic thinking, what's the worst thing that can happen? What's the best thing that can happen? What's likely going to happen? What are the odds of that happening? How many times has it happened before? How many times has it not happened? So what are the odds? If anxiety is getting in the way of your relationships, your work, your school, your life in any way, that might be time to seek some professional help. I use cognitive behavior therapy, but there are many approaches to help people create a toolbox, strategies, skill sets to cope with anxiety, to manage the anxiety. Professional help can help you on that journey to healing and can help you manage it. So before I wrap up, I want to challenge you to try something this week. When you feel, the first thing I want you to do is when you're feeling anxious, notice how you're feeling physically. Number 1, connect the physical to the emotional. The next thing I want you to do when you feel that physical or the emotional, I want you to take one of the strategies that we talked about, whether it's the grounding, the compassionate thinking, the breathing, the muscle relaxation. Take one and try it, and then note how it felt. Did it work? Did it bring it down? Were you able to breathe better? Were you able to manage your thoughts better after doing it? You can share your experiences in the comments below if you want, as well as ask questions about some more strategies if you'd like. I'd really like to hear it. I think it'd be cool to hear your experiences, how you managed it, if they worked for you. So thanks for hanging out with me. And I hope I've helped you understand anxiety a little bit more. And I hope that you've gained some tools for that toolbox of yours. And please remember that if you experience anxiety, you are not alone. Every person on this planet has experienced anxiety at some point in their life. There is a difference between anxiety and disordered anxiety. And a disordered anxiety is when it is interfering with your life. It's an obstacle in your life, and that you might need some help with. So you're not alone. And remember, if you're here and you're learning and you're gaining these tools, you're on the path, right? You're on the right path to the journey of managing your anxiety. If this has been helpful, if you want to learn a little bit more, please like us, share, drop us a comment. We'd appreciate that. And I just want to let all of our viewers know that going forward, I'm doing these videos. I'm going to do a general one, like what anxiety is, for example, and then I'm going to break it down. So health anxiety, separation anxiety, anxiety in the workplace, anxiety in a relationship, anxiety parenting. I'm going to break it down so it's more specific to individuals. Okay, this video was a little bit longer and I apologize, but I hope that, there's a lot of information with anxiety. All right, enjoy the beautiful weather. We're having in Ontario anyway. The heat has broken, and take care of you.